The Mummy for the PlayStation 1 absolutely sucks, but I guess we shouldn't expect anything else since this is a game based on a movie. Much like a lot of other movie-based games in this general time frame, it basically just uses cutscenes from the awesome movie as the game's cutscenes, and that's basically the best thing about the game. Everything else about the game is just, First of all, the hero of the game sounds nothing like Brendan Fraser. He sounds more like Sylvester Stallone. He's running around and he sounds like Rocky.
Stay here. I'll go check it out.
Hey Rachel Wise! Hey Rachel Wise! Why don't you get yourself a real man? So basically this whole game is just running around these dark, awful looking places, and the game really does look awful. I mean, this is a PlayStation 1 game from late 2000. This is a game from the new millennium. It has graphics like a PS1 game from like the year 1996. I mean, it's just graphically inferior to a lot of games that came out years before it on the same system. Not just the gloomy, awful-looking environments, but I think the worst part of the game is just the character models. They have these weird body shapes. All the character models look like scarecrows made out of Slim Jims, with just all the liquid completely sucked out of them. The game just looks awful, and playing it is even worse. It's just dark and gloomy, and it should be for most of it. I mean, you are running around ruins, but the darkness doesn't even make sense. Like, you have these torches that you can light all over the place by just coming up to a fire and lighting your torch, and then the torch kind of extinguishes after about 20 seconds. But the thing is, even if you don't have a torch on, even if a torch isn't like out in your inventory, like forget about having it turned on, even if there's no torch anywhere in sight, there's still something like glowing your way. There's still like this thing that illuminates everything around you, even if there's no torches around. It's really weird. It's like, what's the point of actually having a torch if everything just lights up in front of you for no reason, even without torches? I mean, the only real point of having a torch is to once in a while just light some things on the wall to get some extra bonus things. But in terms of using a torch for what you would actually use it for in a game where you explore dungeons and crypts, no, you don't need it. You can run around the dungeons literally without a torch and just illuminate your way with, I don't know, your own pale skin or something. The character runs like a total spaz too. I mean, it's hilarious how stupid he runs. It's almost like a cartoon. He runs like one of the Three Stooges escaping from like a baker or something because the stooge ate some pie he wasn't supposed to or something. It's just so comical and just takes you out of the game completely. One of the cool things in this game is it has a really great score. I mean, the OST in the game is fantastic. It matches the movie perfectly. The movie had also really great orchestral music. But the music just doesn't fit the hilarious way he runs through the game. It's like this complete stupid spaz that sounds like Rocky Balboa running through these unimpressive, ugly worlds and looking like a complete fool as he runs, and this beautiful music plays like he's Lawrence of Arabia or something. It just doesn't go together. On top of the music, another kind of good thing about this game is the shooting mechanics. See, you have all these different weapons, like melee weapons and gun type of weapons, like your main pistols, you have a shotgun, you have this automatic rifle. And the great thing about shooting in this game is that you auto-aim onto enemies, which makes this game fairly easy, because all you have to do is just, the second an enemy is even in sight, your character just automatically aims, so you really don't even need to pay attention to the gameplay. Your character will just raise his hands up the second there's an enemy in your line of presence, and then you just press the shoot button a few times and the enemy will just collapse. It's very easy. I mean, I never felt like I was really in trouble just because I have these amazing shooting skills. I feel like the greatest Wild West gunslinger of all time. Like, no enemy can touch me if I'm just paying attention to the gameplay slightly. The melee combat in this game, when you run out of regular bullets? Oh, well, Mountain Blade, it is not. It is one of the ugliest, most counterintuitive ways to fight I have ever seen. You basically just swing like some kind of club, your torch, or a few different swords at the enemies. But sometimes the enemies block and then hit you, and what you can do to avoid that is just to clumsily just roll out of the way, once again, like a slow, like cumbersome fat spaz. It's just so unnatural the way he runs, and even worse, the way he moves and rolls. It's like I can't imagine anyone missing you when you roll like such a slow spaz. Like the second he would be like on the ground with his back down, I just feel like anyone can just come up and stab him as he's rolling. But yeah, the actual sword play is just basically standing there running and just swinging your sword clumsily at the enemy. It just looks stupid, it feels stupid, and it's just awful. Stick to your guns. That's the only real way to pass this game. And when you run out of guns, well, you're up shit's creek without a paddle. The game is also pretty annoying. Like, you have to unlock specific parts in a specific zone to progress further. You can't just run around, like, break a few things, collect a few things, and just move on. Sometimes there are enemies, like, hidden in walls, and you literally cannot progress further until you run around the entire zone and just touch every single wall for the enemy to finally realize you are in the area and to just break out of the wall like an undead Kool-Aid man and attack you. And once it attacks you, then you can move further in the level. It's really stupid. It's like the exploration in this game, much like the rolling, running around, and using your melee weapons to fight the enemies, is just not very smooth. It doesn't flow well at all. It's just silly, and it's a lot of busy work. On top of the regular weapons, you can also pick up these relics from thousands of years ago, and these basically act like bombs, and you throw them at enemies, but these run out, much like your ammunition. This is just a gloomy, copy and pasted game and world with the vast majority of its parts just being inferior or lacking in some or most ways. This was ultimately just not a fun experience for me. It's playable, but you wouldn't want to play it for any extended amount of time. This is in no way the worst PS1 game ever made. I mean, there are a ton of games that are way worse. I've reviewed a lot of them. This is just straight up a bad game. It gets an official Stan Birdman rating of a 5 out of 10. If you want to play it, if you're a big fan of the Mummy, I guess you could try it out, but trust me, you're not gonna want to play it for very long. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.